Mi es castellano, no tan es mío. Bueno. That's why the rest of my talk here will be in English. I hope you don't mind. Okay, I was announced to talk about revolution and evolution. And those things really, do these things match? I really don't know. So let's see. I gave you a little picture, a little glimpse of my own journey. I moved between different countries, but actually the journey within methods, methodologies, it was much longer. Distance today is nothing anymore. I work in a company that sells flight tickets, and they do it online. And when I moved to Sweden, those tickets were much more expensive 30 years ago than they are now. These companies, they changed the world. Amazon changed the world. Companies like eDreams changed the world, bringing people closer to each other. So I will tell you a story, not about distance, but about time. For me, this whole journey started about 16, 17 years ago. I started in '98, I started my first own little company. And at that time, the one of the big internet businesses was casinos online. I was working with that, and our idea was to provide backend system for these casinos. We were a small team, really effective team, but at that time, what did we have for processes? It was the big ass waterfall processes. And during this time, the rational unified process was the flavor of that time. And everybody was supposed to buy these books and buy the process and just customize it to their needs. And it almost killed us. So we gave it up. Some of my developers, they found something they really got interested in. They found extreme programming. Small group, customer or product owner, that was me, sitting with the group and developing, working all the time. It was really, really intensive. And we got good results by that, but we were a really small team. Later on, I sold that company. I had to sell it after the bubble. We continued working with that. We tried to scale XP, didn't work. Didn't work at all. Teams didn't communicate with each other. There was nothing on top of it that could scale. So, what to do? We were looking. Discovered Scrum. Okay, let's do that. And it worked out. At that time, it worked out for us. Still not a big company. We were like 5 teams. So still coordination worked. We had a small scrum of scrums. And later on, the company grew, became bigger and bigger. Scrum didn't work anymore. The administrational overhead became too big. Scrums of scrums of scrums. And there were other things which were disturbing me in there. I felt we wasted a lot of time with meetings which we didn't really need, like estimations meetings and stuff. So at some point, I read an article on a site called InfoQ. That this man presented a different way of doing work. And he started off with estimates are waste of time. At that moment, he had me. David Anderson really had me at that moment. So I followed him. I followed the communities. I was an early adopter of all that stuff. We were I think at the beginning when I joined the Yahoo groups, we were 80 people around the world. Not many. So I continued reading. I continued studying all the things around it. I continued studying lean literature and everything I could just read about. And here I am. Today I'm in Madrid. I live in Barcelona now. Just moved there, so that's why my Spanish is not so advanced yet. And work with eDreams ODIGEO. And they are on their way to really, really great journey. So, All companies start off small. And it works out. Even eDreams was small. Start up, small office space. You sit there with 10 people. Everybody's communicating with each other. You talk. It works. You see a problem. It works. You fix it. It works. If something falls between the chairs, somebody picks it up and fixes that stuff. All companies want to grow. And hopefully they do that. They want to make money. Growth means money there. So the communication thing doesn't work anymore. It just stops. We need to put in place processes to start communicating with each other. Processes to start sending work to each other, to do handovers to each other. And when we are big, we just get slow. That's one of the biggest problems. And big companies today, they want to become small again. Not in size, but in culture. You want to really have that culture back again, the startup culture. You know, books like Lean Startup, they sell like nothing. Right? It's like crazy. Everybody, all the management people in ODIGEO, they have read it. And they all want to be there. The challenge is to become an agile enterprise and to become flexible and human again. So, why not just do it? Seems easy enough, right? Just do it. We bring in a couple of contractors, consultants. They have the recipe. They're known for that. They make money by that. Right? We pay them good money. And we do a change. So we bring in these people. We analyze our situation. And of course it's bad, so I draw a bad picture. We like that. And because we want to get better. They have their plan, their recipe. They show it to us, we buy it. Off we go, they implement it, and we are in a happier place. That's how they sell it. Many people buy it too. Otherwise they would not exist. All these companies starting with a city name like Boston or other names. So, but change creates chaos. Always. I've seen that, and I've seen it daily. I see it today. I cannot avoid it, even if I really try to. So if this model doesn't work, what does? There are people thinking differently and really doing research on stuff and not just producing a recipe, but producing an idea about how things work. One of these people was Virginia Satir. She was mostly known for her approach to family therapy and family reconstruction. As such, in our context, she's known for the Virginia Satir change model, or the Virginia Satir J-curve, or just J-curve. I just call it J-curve. It looks like this. Probably some of you have already seen it, maybe use it. Somewhere far to the left, that's our status quo, that's how we work today. We are not too happy about it, because obviously we want to change, but it works. It works for us. So, we want to change. We introduce some change initiative. That's introducing a foreign element in what we do. That's disturbing. People start to resist. They are so cozy in their environment they have. It works for them. Right? They go to the job and they are really comfortable. They know what to do every day. But now, they don't. Resistance creates chaos. And look at the lines, right? This is actual data there. It's like a 6.4 on the Richter scale, right? A volcano erupts. And a lot of chaos obviously creates a drop in productivity. So whatever you do, performance goes down. At some point, people adopt the ideas. Some start to adopt the ideas and you get better at it again, and you implement the stuff you actually started to learn, and you get a little bit more comfortable with it. You start climbing up again. And once you're up there, you have integrated all the new ideas, or most of them, and you have a new status quo. So if you're still not dead by then, you can do another change. So what's the best way to go from there? From here to there, from left to right? From a bad situation to a better situation? In small steps, step by step by step. That's the trick. And what actually happens here is people be happy during the time you do that. You know, you have small steps, you have small successes all the time, and people get happy. It's the quick earnings you do during your change. What also happens is I keep my job. So, number one, another thinker, Maslow. Played a lot with monkeys, but is most known for his hierarchy of needs. And I think most of you have heard about it. That's something you really read about in high school. I make it a little bit simpler. There are much more needs than that. I think two or three more, but I start here. Belonging needs. I want to be with the other guys. I want to be in a group. I want to be there. That's one of the basic things. What's the basic things in our context? Esteem needs me. I want to be somebody within that context. I want to be respected by others. I want that other people look up to me. And on the top, you have self-actualization. I want to become better at what I do. Only for myself. That's what I want to do. So, we all belong to a social hierarchy somewhere, in some context, at work, at home, in our free time. So breaking that social hierarchy creates resistance. Imagine you are in a working group, you are a group of QA people or architects or anything, and we break that up, and you are going to be working in a team somewhere, all of you, a cross-functional team. You lose your identity. Now what? I don't want to do that. I really want to be what I am. I'm a good QA person. I'm a good architect in my group. So, no, I don't want to start over again and finding my group and becoming somebody. Watch me. I'm going all passive-aggressive on you. Answering an email can take 2 days when it should take 5 minutes. And all these things, I've seen that. It's nothing strange. I've fallen in all to these traps, right? Scattered teams around, build new teams with people, and exactly that happens. Now with our friends, Bruce Lee, David Anderson introduced me to him. He's known for his Kung Fu, but he's also studied philosophy and psychology and drama, I think. I think more of that. The interesting thing here is he has his philosophy and methods about resistance and overcoming that. And when I found one TV interview from the 60s that was really funny. He said just, be like water, my friend. Don't be the rock. That is, of course, the rock is the resistance. The water is the change that wants to flow around it. We want to have a change that really doesn't as hard as rock, because we will just hit the rock and nothing will happen. We will just lie around there and nothing will happen. Water in the end wins. So, real change is hard. Real change is messy. I just showed you 3 people which are really interesting there, and I read a lot of stuff about that. And there are many, many more. Some of them are sitting here. right? So, eDreams ODIGEO, that's what this is about. We had problems, and our journey started 1.5 years ago, around that. We were tired of our slow product development. We had long privatization process, complex dependencies, no way of measuring capacity, and we had a really awkward estimation process. That led to projects at average being 300% over time. Now, some of you are nodding here, so I guess you have seen that too. And others who don't believe me, you should go and look through your own numbers. Start by the commitment point and finish by when you handed that thing over, either to production and services or to the customer. And go back to your initial estimates. And if you make it to 300%, you are really good. That's my belief. I think we have projects which are closer to 1,000%. And some were lower, of course. Most were smaller. So this leads to long lead times. Lost business opportunity, of course. We release stuff when nobody needs it anymore. Or we just lose money by not being able to make it by the opportunity we wanted to create. So less revenue and unhappy owners, customers, management. So that's where we started. Teams, silos, taking care of parts of the system really not really related to each other, single system, a flight system, a finance mid-office system, and so on and so on. What we realize here is almost every project we run touches several of these teams. That works if you have 3 or 4 projects. That's no problem at all. You have a good project manager who's good at managing dependencies, and you have enough people, and it works. But if you run 100 projects, that just gets crazy and impossible. Well, that's where the long times come from. We had projects where it was just like 3 or 4 days more time to do QA or anything, but there was 4 months waiting time for that. So imagine the lost money for that. Nobody ever calculated that. So this doesn't work. And we wanted to do something. We need to do something and change something. And we did. We broke up the silos. This, of course, created some resistance. But it was absolutely necessary. We couldn't do anything else. There are nicer ways to do it today, but still they are far too advanced for what we were doing there. We created cross-functional teams, and we hoped by that to get a little bit more business focus on them. And we also put in place system teams, maintenance teams, where we're running maintenance, fixing bugs, and system refactoring, and all those things. We had at that time the need to isolate them. Practically, we became a class of service. If you have done a little bit of Kanban, you know what I mean by that. They became a class of service for the company. It's not the ideal way of fixing it. We actually want to do that in the program teams, which we call the cross-functional teams. But we had the need to isolate them from business because they would eat them up. No, these are guys who are really good at what they do. But in the eyes of business, that was work, that intangible work, like the purple tickets in the game. So we isolated. Worked good, worked quite well. We had less dependencies. Coordination improved, actually. Not perfect, it improved. And we had much better maintenance, much better maintenance. So happy faces there. Not all the way. Some were not so happy. And that was because there was no direct relation between business outcome. We missed on the last point. We thought we were creating teams, so we had some better business interaction, a better relation to what we actually want to achieve. These teams were still all about output, creating stuff, creating projects. They were still treated as, in the old way, they were order takers and just producing what they were told to produce. Outcome was not important for them. Outcome is important for the other people. So, for that guy, the business person, he or she, they need to achieve a budget. And I didn't need to deliver many projects as the IT guy. Yes, but you need to deliver my project. And I really don't understand your budget. How is that related to what I actually do? No idea. So, there was really a division between them. So, things still doesn't work. People down there, they still get treated like they did before. It was just crap for them. These people in the middle, the managers in the middle, they still need to deliver on the budget numbers. And on top, they need to keep their promise to the stakeholders, to the owners, to the market. ODIGEO is, since 1 year back, listed on the Madrid Stock Exchange. So there's a lot of stake. So let's do something different then, I thought. We created a product organization, or we are about to create it. So here the first Kanban principles kick in. You would want to start with what you do now, really important. You want to agree to an evolutionary change. Small and strange changes all the time. And you want to respect current roles, responsibilities, and of course the job titles. We tried to do that as much as possible. We did a change, and that was not all. Suddenly these top 3 guys, they came up with that new idea. We want more, not just a product organization. We want to actually have a new way of working. And that surprised me. It was really surprising for me. They wanted to have teams which autonomously could work with what they do in the area where they worked. They wanted teams which actually had an idea about the business outcome and could react to that business outcome and improve the products so it became even better. They wanted teams which were working together for a long time so they could really get good at what they do. And they wanted teams which have a purpose. People who know why they go to work. That's different. That's very different from what we have. So, that's our problem. We have no support for autonomous teams. That's a big bummer, because the CEO wants that. So, what do? Big change initiative, getting in a lot of contractors, helping us to do that. That would kill it. I showed you in the beginning. Our system is built for that. That's how it has been, how it always has been. So it's nothing strange with that, you know. You build systems like that. The system is built for catering the organization which is working with it. So if you have a hierarchical organization, despotic organization, you create a big monolith. And there's not so much movement in there. You cannot create a networking organization on top of that. No way. That doesn't work there. Look, that's what I want us to be. We are autonomous now. And no, you are not. Because that thing is existing. We have to take care about that, because for us it's important too. We are working in a business with low margins. You don't have the luxury to be able to create a number of squads, or whatever we could call them, to just do experiments. We have to really turn around every euro and see if we can make more money out of that euro. So our idea is to do something different. We need that. We want to do something like that. We want to have that network because it gives us, we want to have a vibrant network because that gives us the possibility to create new ideas, build teams spontaneously. People can build their own teams spontaneously. And they have a purpose, they create their own purpose. Now make a business out of that, that is not easy. These people, you actually don't want these teams to become the ones who execute the business then later on. For that, you need the hierarchy. The hierarchy will create the robustness for you. That's at least what we think. For us, it's an experiment. I think it's the only way for us. So we picked 3 teams. And still cross-functional teams. They can use specialists as external services. And here, again, small change in things. I started to kick in Kanban services in here. With external services teams, which give a special SLA to the needs of these guys. It's basically a class of service for them. It's a beginning. It's not the ideal case, but for us it's a beginning. And they have coaches. We have coaches, internal, external, to help these guys to get better at what we do in small steps. We don't have a book which we hand over. Please read that book and go on and run. That will not work. We want to connect these teams to the business. There needs to be a connection to the business, and that's a really sensitive connection. We have product owners. We had product owners earlier, so we don't change that. We had business owner earlier. We don't change that. These roles already exist. We just make them clearer for them. We make the roles clear for them. And they appreciate that, actually, because it was really fussy for those people. Where they start, where the responsibility starts and where it ends. So we hope by that to create better autonomy and let's see where we come there. We don't have that at the moment. We don't know about mastery yet because we just started that. So we will see in a year's time, did they get better at what we do? Purpose, yeah, that's where we are. We created the tools so we can actually check on the business outcome and react to that and adjust, become better, create more business value. Kanban, it is a method, right? It's a method, and not a methodology. Methodologies are prescriptive. You have a lot of roles there, and artifacts you have to produce. It's roles and rules. Kanban doesn't have that. There is no Kanban master. And that's the reason why, because it's a method and not a methodology. You can use it on top of whatever you do to improve. And that's what we are doing. It takes time, right? It's not that easy. It's easier to buy. What's the flavor of today? Safe. And get a couple of consultants and implement that. No difference to what it has been in the 90s. The first time I saw that thing, I compared it to rational unified process. It's the same thing. It looks crazy, right? Just by looking at these things. And you have to customize them so they fit you. It doesn't work. It doesn't really work. So it does not force us to break the social hierarchies, which is really important for us, because if you don't have the people on your side, culturally, it will not work. And it does not create unnecessary friction. Friction we have in every organization. This is nothing new, and there is nothing as a well-oiled machinery when we talk about organizations or company. But those do not exist. That's not new knowledge. That's knowledge more than 200 years old. More than 200 years ago, the Prussians, they got kicked ass by Napoleon. And they were thinking hard what really happened. They were a well-oiled machine, I think. They had created robots, right? They were just doing what they were told all the time. That was the problem. Napoleon's forces, they were just anarchists, or they were small groups just doing their thing. There was no leadership there that were telling them how to march. Small islands doing their stuff autonomously. So the Prussians were thinking about that. And one of those thinkers was General Clausewitz. He wrote something that's called Vom Kriege, about war. That thing is still taught in the military high schools today. And he was already then identifying friction in organizations. And that friction is there. You cannot do anything about it. What you should do, you should avoid to create unnecessary friction. There's always friction. So, Kanban as an enterprise change method is for me a revolution. Thank you. Questions?
You said that you made the roads clear for the business owner or product owner. Can
Yes.
you talk more about what you did at that time?
How we did that? Yes, we were actually looking at how they interacted as a whole. We were looking at the whole group of business owners, which was like diverse, crazy diverse, right? There was a sliding scale between product owning and business owning. And we were interviewing all these people and just looked at what they actually do in practice. And we tried to find the thing that was really business-oriented in there and that was product-oriented. We found out that you want to handle down problems. The business owners, they handle down customer problems to the product owner. The product owner handles down business problems to the team. And the team creates the solutions to these problems. So finding the border in between there, that was the hard thing to do, the handover. So we created a quite soft handover in between there. So that was our method of finding them. Now, we just started that. So we have to see how it works out. And we are prepared to adopt there and make changes all the time. If we would write it down, and this is the way we do it, we could write a book and hand it out to everybody, and there you are. Okay? Anyone more? We can do it in Spanish. Yes, please.
Your programmers are hired by your company? I mean, are your own programmers?
Internal, yes.
Okay, because maybe it's not very common in Spain. Well, it depends. But there are very big companies that subcontract. So in terms of creating a new culture, you can have contracts between your own company and your subcontractor.
We have that too. We selected the 3 teams. We selected their differently in their constellation. One team is totally co-located in Barcelona. One is dislocated. is a virtual team between Barcelona and Madrid. And the 3rd team even has contractors outside in Mallorca.
How did you manage to create a culture of you are?
We are not there yet. We just created these teams, and we will see how they fly. And that's why we picked the 3 different teams to see how it actually worked out. Our CEO had for some reason, a strong belief that, that teams should be co-located. Probably you heard it somewhere. Our whole exec team, they did a travel around Europe. They went to eBay, to Booking.com, to Spotify, and now they have been 5 days at Google just to see how these things how they work, and probably they got that idea from there. But the reality is that we have different development centers. We have one in Stockholm, we have in Paris, we have in Budapest, and we have contractors outside all that. So that's the reality we are living with. So the nice, cozy, low co-located culture thing might not work. We will see. I will be happy to share that next year. More questions? No? Thank you very much.